All right, I don't know if this is gonna make a video or not, but here's what I've got. I've got this Husky 550 XP Mark II. Said he was acting up, bogging, and I just did a couple of quick things on it, and I just made sure there was good fuel in it, and pulled the spark plug, make sure there wasn't anything scored. Spark plug was awful wet, and there was a little bit of buildup on the spark arrestor screen. Let's see if we can't run this and get auto tune to kind of correct it on its own. And let me tell you what I'm going to do, and I'll explain to you why. In order for auto tune to be able to calibrate, if you're out of whack where you're trying to teach it to learn, don't dog in. You want nice, firm, steady pressure, make it work for some RPM, and see if it won't clear up. There's a couple of things we want to do with that, is be able to make a steady, smooth cut, working it, and then come out of that cut and let it idle. Because we're trying to set a high side, full speed fuel setting, and we're trying to help the idle speed setting as well. All right, so let's see how it goes. And it's a cold start, by the way. So anyway, I think that's about got it. You can't hear it. It sounded a little bit of lean on the lean side when I was, here, let me get away from this so you can hear me. It sounded a little bit on the lean side when I got away from the wood the second time when I rested it on my thigh. I want to let it idle for a minute and make sure that I can go jump on the throttle and that it will come to attention. And then we'll talk about the cause of this, possibly, when I get done cutting. Well, now that we got it up to full operating temperature, if I can't take some guesswork here. All right, so if you're doing super small limbing and you're just blipping the throttle constantly, where you're really not putting a load on the saw, you don't quote unquote get up to full operating temperature. It does get warm, but it's trying to tune itself for the ideal conditions, and it can get a little bit out of whack. When I first started running that, obviously the first time I pulled the trigger, it just went buh. You know, so the fuel settings are off. The second time when I started it, I sat there and feathered the throttle and was just nice and easy on it and let it work into, you know, being a two-stroke again, you know, running hard. So if you're ever on the job site, you know, I've had this problem with 201s on a light pruning day. Guys will bring it back to me and it just won't idle. It's all just bogged down, won't run. And the easiest thing to do, now don't fight the auto tune or the M-tronic. Both of these work the same way. How many RPM can I get without going over this heat limit? So it sits there and keeps leaning the fuel out until it starts getting hot, and then it starts adding more fuel to maintain that high RPM full tilt boogie without leaning the saw out so bad it does any damage. So it's constantly adding and subtracting fuel. It can also adjust timing just a little bit, advance and retard. But it can get out of whack on light, simple jobs where you're doing a lot of idle, a lot of just partial throttle blipping over and over and over and over again. And that's why I didn't even bother plugging it into the auto tune tool. That wet spark plug told me that it'd been just blubbing along. So the last thing we need to do is just to make sure that this doesn't have a hot restart. So obviously up to full temperature. Let's see if it'll at least fire. I do see it smoking just a little bit, and I think this saw has been set to the side for a little while. The gas smelled a little bit on the old side, but and maybe that is some of this, because the exhaust smells like shit. It doesn't have that nice fresh fuel, but I did want to at least leave that fuel in there to make sure that just throwing some fresh fuel didn't fix it. So I'll talk to him. But again, I think this saw is sat for a while because it was acting up, and he had a chance to bring me the saw to take a look at it, see what's up. Anyway, appreciate you watching. And again, that's the right thing to do. If the saw's acting up, just shut it off, take it to the shop, have some work done. The bill will be much lower. The more you run a saw that's acting up, or a piece of equipment that's acting up, the more damage you're gonna do. So if something's not right, working it like a red-headed stepchild is only going to make matters worse and break more things. All right, enough of that for today. Y'all have a good one.